The room was dim, filled with the steady rhythm of machines. Daniel lay weak on his bed, fighting the dull pain in his side, but his eyes kept drifting toward the other bed, toward her. The alien woman stirred, her fingers twitching like delicate strands of light. Her chest rose slowly, and her glowing veins pulsed brighter. Daniel watched with tired curiosity, unsure she would ever open her eyes. Then suddenly, she did. Her eyes were unlike any human eyes, silver, shimmering, reflecting light like liquid metal. She blinked at the ceiling, then turned her gaze toward Daniel. There was confusion, fear, but also a strange calmness in her stare. For a long moment, they only looked at each other. The silence felt heavy, as if words had no meaning here. Then she whispered, her voice soft and shaking, "Why?" Daniel took a deep breath, his body aching. "Because you deserved a chance," he answered weakly, his voice cracked, but his eyes held steady. She blinked again, slowly, as though trying to understand. In her culture, sacrifice was not common. It was sacred, the fact that a stranger, a human, would give part of himself to save her life was beyond reason. She tried to sit up but failed, falling back against the bed. Her body was still too weak, but even in her weakness, she reached out, her trembling hand stretching toward him. Her fingers glowed faintly, and Daniel felt warmth radiating from her skin. The nurse stepped forward, alarmed. "Don't strain yourself," she warned the alien, but Daniel raised a hand, stopping the nurse. "Let her," he whispered. Their hands touched, and Daniel felt a strange pulse surge through him. It was not just warmth. It was connection, a thread of something he could not explain for a second. He felt her pain, her fear, her relief, as if they were his own. His breath caught, and he pulled back slightly, eyes wide. "What was that?" he asked, shocked. She closed her eyes, whispering faintly, "Bond." The doctors, curious, leaned in, taking notes, but none could explain what had just happened. The commander stood at the doorway again, arms crossed, his face tight with suspicion. To him, this was dangerous. An alien binding herself to a human. Nobody knew what it meant. Nobody knew what it would cost. But for Daniel, it felt real, and it felt unbreakable. Over the next days, she healed quickly, faster than any prediction. Every morning, she looked at him first, her silver eyes calm yet filled with something deeper. She learned small words in human tongue, repeating them slowly. "Thank you, alive, Daniel." She spoke his name often, as though it was her anchor. And Daniel found himself smiling more than he had in years. Despite the pain, despite the whispers of the crew, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. One evening, as the station's lights dimmed for simulated night, Daniel sat up slowly, wincing at the ache in his side. She was awake, sitting on the edge of her bed, staring out the window into the stars. "Do you miss your home?" he asked quietly. Her voice was soft, almost like a song home gone. Daniel's heart tightened. He understood loss. He had lost friends, family, even his place in the world. But hearing it from her, spoken so simply, struck deeper. He realized she had no one else left. She was truly alone. After a pause, she turned to him, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "But now, not alone," she whispered. The words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. Daniel said nothing, but he felt it, the bond growing stronger, invisible yet undeniable, unknown to them both. Whispers were spreading through the station. Soldiers questioned why a human risked his life for an alien. Scientists debated the strange energy pulse recorded during her touch. Some feared it was dangerous. Others believed it was destiny. But in that quiet room, none of that mattered. Two lives, once strangers, were now tied together. And as she slowly leaned back in her bed, her last words before sleep were faint but clear. "My heart for you." Daniel lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his body weak, but his spirit strangely strong. He had no idea what her words truly meant, no idea that her gift was not just gratitude, but something that could change the fate of humanity itself. The days turned into weeks, and the medical bay no longer felt like a place of sickness. It felt like a chamber of quiet mystery. For while the alien woman healed, Something else was happening, something no machine could measure. Her name was Liara. Daniel learned it when she finally spoke it one morning. Her voice carried the sound of flowing water, gentle yet filled with strength. Daniel repeated her name, slow and careful, and she smiled for the first time since she woke. That smile stayed with him, bright in his thoughts. Every day, Liara grew stronger. She walked slowly at first, her steps shaky. Daniel often supported her, their hands brushing. Each time, he felt the same strange warmth, the same invisible current flowing through his skin. It was not pain, not fear, it was connection deeper than words. The doctors ran endless tests, scanning Daniel's blood, scanning hers. They were baffled. His body was adapting to the transplant faster than expected. His recovery was almost unnatural. The alien kidney was not just surviving. It was thriving inside him, merging with the system. One doctor whispered, "This should be impossible." Another muttered, "It is as if his body is changing." But Daniel didn't care about their science. What mattered was Liara. She was alive, walking, breathing, laughing softly at things she barely understood. One evening, she sat across from him, a small piece of bread in her hands. She held it carefully, as if studying it like a sacred object. "Human food," she whispered. Daniel chuckled. "Yes, not as good as yours probably." She shook her head. "No home, no food, this gift." The word echoed in Daniel's mind. Gift. He remembered her earlier words, "My heart is yours." He had thought it was just gratitude, but now he began to feel it was more. That night, as he lay in his bed, he woke suddenly. His chest was pounding, his vision sharp. For a moment, he could feel her. Her dreams, her fears, her loneliness. Like echoes in his own mind, he gasped, clutching his side, and then it faded. When he told Liara the next morning, she only looked at him with calm silver eyes. "Bond," she said again, more firmly this time. Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" "What bond?" She touched her chest, then touched his, her fingers glowing faintly, life, heart, soul. Her words were simple, but the meaning was heavy. Daniel leaned back, uncertain. He did not understand the depth, but he knew this was no accident. His sacrifice had awakened something older, deeper. Later, Liara showed him a mark on her arm, just above her glowing veins. A new pattern had appeared. It was not a scar, not natural flesh. It was a glowing symbol, shaped like a spiral star. Daniel stared at it, confused. "What is that?" She whispered, "Gift of heart." The commander was alerted. Soldiers and scientists gathered to witness. They looked at the glowing mark with suspicion. Some said it was dangerous. Others said it was proof of something divine. Daniel only felt one thing: responsibility. That night, when everyone else left, Liara sat beside him, closer than ever. Her silver eyes glowed softly in the dim light. "You gave me life," she whispered. "Now I give you more." Daniel shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." But she only leaned closer, pressing her forehead lightly against his. The warmth that spread through him was overwhelming. It was not love in words. Not yet, but something beyond language. For the first time, Daniel realized the truth. He had not just saved her life, he had bound his own life to hers. And somewhere deep in the station, far from their quiet room, sensors flickered, recording bursts of unknown energy. The bond between a human and an alien was not only emotional. It was changing the very fabric of their existence. The galaxy did not yet know it, but humanity's future had already shifted. See, the station slept under the quiet hum of engines, but inside the medical bay, the air was far from calm. Daniel lay awake, his body heavy, yet his mind restless. Each night, the strange feelings grew stronger. Moments when his heartbeat matched Liara's, flashes of images in his mind that were not his own. He saw stars he had never visited, skies of blue fire, a world broken by war. He woke with sweat on his forehead, his hand trembling, and when his eyes turned toward her bed, he saw Liara already watching him, her silver gaze steady, as if she knew every dream he had just lived. "Why am I seeing this?" Daniel asked, his voice rough. Liara tilted her head, her glowing veins pulsing softly. "Gift begins," she whispered. Daniel frowned. "What gift? What are you doing to me?" She rose slowly from her bed, her steps graceful though her body was still recovering. She came close and placed her hand on his chest. The glow spread from her palm into his skin. His heart pounded, but it did not feel like pain. It felt like fire and light flowing together. "Our law is old," Liara said softly, her words broken but clear. "When one gives life to us, we return life. Not small, not simple, we give heart." Daniel stared at her, confusion and awe mixing inside him. "Heart? You mean this bond? This connection between us?" Liara shook her head gently. "More. Heart is power. Heart is memory. Heart is future." Her words made little sense, but Daniel could feel them. Deep inside, his strength was no longer the same as before. Each day his pain lessened. His body healed faster than the doctors predicted. His senses grew sharper, sounds clearer, his steps stronger. The scientists whispered behind walls. They had seen his blood samples change, cells adapting, merging with alien patterns. They argued endlessly, "This is impossible, this is dangerous, this could change everything." But Daniel only looked at Liara. She was no longer just a patient. She was something far greater. She had chosen him, tied him to her people's oldest vow. One evening, she led him to the observation deck. The wide glass stretched before them, revealing a sea of stars. Liara lifted her hand, pointing at a cluster of glowing blue lights. "Home," she whispered, her eyes softened, but there was no joy, only loss. Daniel followed her gaze, silent. He understood without asking. Her world was gone, and yet she gave him what little of it remained, her gift. She turned to him then, closer than ever. "Daniel, your life and mine, now one. When you feel pain, I feel. When you feel hope, I feel. No end until death." The words sank into him like stone in water. His sacrifice had not only saved her, it had bound him to something irreversible. He opened his mouth to protest, but she touched his lips gently. "No fear, this bond is not curse, it is blessing." That night, Daniel felt it more strongly than ever. His heartbeat steady, his breath smooth, but underneath he felt her presence, like a second soul living beside his. He could sense her dreams, her memories, her voice whispering even when she slept. For the first time, Daniel was not alone, and neither was she. Yet beyond the walls of the station, news began to spread. Reports leaked of a human who merged with alien life. Rumors grew. Some called him blessed, others cursed. Some feared it was a weapon, others believed it was destiny. But inside their quiet corner of the galaxy, only two souls knew the truth. A human had given his kidney to save her life, and in return, she had given him her heart, an ancient gift that would forever tie humanity to something larger than itself. And though Daniel did not yet understand the full cost, deep inside he knew this was only the beginning. Daniel woke with a sharp gasp. His vision was clearer than ever before. He could see the smallest crack in the ceiling above, the faint shimmer of dust in the air, even the pulse of light inside the machines. His body felt different, stronger, alive in a way he had never known. He sat up slowly, expecting pain from the surgery scar, but there was none. His side no longer ached. Instead, there was only warmth, steady and constant. He pressed his hand to his chest and felt it, two rhythms, his heartbeat, and something else, faint but powerful. Liara was already awake, sitting quietly near the window, watching the stars. She turned her head as if she had been waiting for him. "You feel it now," she said softly. Daniel nodded, unsettled. "Something is happening to me. My body feels wrong, or maybe too right." Liara rose gracefully, her silver veins glowing brighter in the dim light. "Not wrong. Change. Gift grows." Later, the doctors tested him. Their eyes widened at the results. His muscles were denser, his blood richer, his reflexes faster than any normal human. One scientist muttered, "He is evolving." Another whispered, "Or he is mutating." The commander watched with narrowed eyes. "This is a risk," he warned. "We cannot allow this to spread." His voice was sharp, filled with fear, but Daniel only clenched his fists. "This isn't a disease, it's a bond." That night, Daniel discovered something stranger still. He closed his eyes to rest, and suddenly he was no longer in the medical bay. He was standing in a vast field of silver grass under a burning blue sky. A world not his own. He turned slowly, and there was Liara, standing beside him. "It is memory," she whispered. "My world, my past. Now yours too." Daniel's chest tightened. He saw flashes of war, fire raining from the skies, her people running, falling, dying. The pain struck him so deeply he cried out, his body shook, but Liara held him steady. "You carry it now, but not alone." When he woke again, tears still lined his face. He looked at her and saw his own grief mirrored in her silver eyes. He realized then, her gift was not only strength, it was connection. Every part of her life now lived within him. Days passed, and the changes grew. He could hear voices from farther away, footsteps down the corridor, the faint hum of the station's reactors. He could lift things heavier than before. His wounds healed faster than human science could explain. The crew grew restless. Some looked at him with awe, others with suspicion. "He's not fully human anymore," they whispered. "What if he turns against us?" Daniel felt their fear. He even heard their thoughts sometimes. Not clearly, but as shadows in his mind. He hated it. He didn't want their secrets, but the bond did not let him choose. Liara stayed close, always watching, always steady. "Your heart is stronger," she told him, "but strength is not only for you, it is for both, you and me, one life." One evening, Daniel tested his strength, gripping a steel bar in the training hall. With a twist of his hands, the metal bent as if it were clay. Gasps filled the room. Soldiers stepped back, fear flashing in their eyes. Daniel dropped the bar, ashamed. "I didn't mean." But before he could finish, the commander barked. "Enough, this ends now. Human or not, you are dangerous." Guards moved forward, weapons raised. Daniel's pulse raced. Instinct surging, he could feel Liara's fear behind him. Like her soul was pressing into his own, he raised his hands slowly, not in surrender, but in warning. The air seemed to thrum around him, alive with unseen energy. And then, without touching them, the guards' weapons shook violently and flew from their hands, crashing to the floor. Silence fell. Everyone stared in shock. Daniel himself stood frozen, his chest heaving. He had not meant to do it. He had only thought of stopping them. And yet the gift had answered. Liara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "He is not danger. He is proof." The commander's face hardened. "Proof of what?" Liara's silver eyes glowed. "Proof that your kind and mine are no longer separate. The bond has begun, and it cannot be undone." Daniel stood beside her, trembling with the weight of what had happened. He understood now. His sacrifice had not only saved her life, it was reshaping his own. It was reshaping everything. The change was no longer a secret. The galaxy would soon know. The silence in the training hall felt heavy. The bent steel bar still lay on the floor. The guards' weapons scattered like broken toys. Daniel's chest rose and fell, his hands trembling. He had not wanted this, but the gift had moved through him, unstoppable. The commander's eyes were cold. "This is no longer human," he muttered. His words carried across the room, and the soldiers stepped back, fear in their faces. Daniel looked at them, at their suspicion, and for the first time he wondered, was he still one of them? Liara moved forward, standing at his side. Her silver eyes glowed softly, steady and calm. "It is time," she whispered. "They must know." Later, inside the council chamber of the station, officers, doctors, and scientists gathered. Daniel stood before them, his body heavy with doubt. Liara beside him, her presence both a comfort and a shield. The commander sat at the head of the table, his jaw tight. "Explain this now," he demanded. Liara bowed her head slightly, then lifted her gaze. "In my people's law, there's one vow older than all. If a life is given to us, we must return life, not in part, but whole. The gift of heart is this vow." Her words hung in the air, the humans exchanging uneasy glances. Daniel frowned. "Tell them what it means. Tell me the truth." She turned to him, her voice low but clear. "You gave me life, so I gave you mine. Our hearts joined, our souls tied. You're not only human now, you carry me, and through me, my people." The room erupted in whispers. A doctor stood, her hands shaking. Are you saying he is fused with your kind? Liara nodded slowly. Yes, his body changes, his mind opens, he feels me. I feel him. This is heart link. It cannot be undone. Daniel's breath caught. He remembered the strange strength, the visions of her world, the weapons flying from the guard's hands. All of it because of this bond. The commander slammed his hand on the table. This is unacceptable. A human turned into something else, a threat to us all. But Daniel's voice cut through the noise, firm and steady. A threat? I gave part of myself to save her. She gave me back more than I can understand. Is that what you fear? Mercy. The soldiers looked uneasy. Some lowered their eyes, ashamed. Others whispered still, fear thick in their voices. Liara stepped closer, her hand resting over Daniel's heart. He is proof, she said, proof that our kinds are not enemies, proof that life shared is stronger than life alone. Daniel looked at her, and for the first time, he understood the depth of what she had given him. This was not just survival. It was unity, a bridge between two species that had never trusted each other. But the gift carried weight. As days passed, Daniel's powers grew. He could hear emotions like whispers. He could mend wounds faster than medicine allowed. His strength grew beyond human limits. And with every change, the crew grew more divided. Some saw him as hope, others as danger. One night, Liara revealed more. They sat together in the quiet of the observation deck, stars glimmering beyond the glass. Her voice was soft, filled with both sorrow and pride. My people are gone, destroyed in war. I'm last of heart-bearers. When I gave you this bond, I gave last of us. Now you carry it. And through you, humanity carries it too. Daniel froze, the weight of her words crashing into him. You mean, I'm the only one? Liara nodded. Yes, you are the future if you fall. It ends if you live, it spreads. The truth left him breathless. He had not just saved one life. He had inherited an entire legacy. Humanity's future now tied to the last spark of an alien race. And somewhere deep inside, he felt it, the gift pulsing stronger, like a second heartbeat of the galaxy itself. The revelation was clear. He was no longer just Daniel Holt. He was something new, something greater, something the galaxy had never seen before. The council chamber no longer trusted silence. Whispers spread through every corridor of the station. Soldiers avoided Daniel's gaze. Scientists studied him from a distance. Some called him savior. Others called him threat, but no one could deny the truth. He was no longer only human. Daniel felt the weight of it every day. The gift was growing, his strength rising, his mind sharper. Yet with it came the burden of choice. Would he use it for himself, for war, or for peace? Liara stayed always at his side, her silver eyes steady. She carried no fear, only calm. The galaxy will know, she said. They must, you cannot hide this forever. Daniel clenched his fists. If they fear me, they will hunt me. If they fear us, they will hunt you. Her voice was soft, but unshaken. If they fear love, then they're already lost. One night, alarms shook the station. A fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Scouts from a rival empire. They had heard rumors of an alien-human bond, of power that could not be explained, and they had come to take it. The commander ordered defenses, weapons charged, soldiers lined the halls, but everyone knew the truth. If the enemy wanted Daniel, they would not stop. The station could fall. Daniel stood in the hangar, the soldiers around him tense. He looked at their faces, faces of fear, doubt, mistrust. He felt their emotions pouring into him through the gift. And then he felt Liara's hand on his. Her voice like a flame, show them who you are. When the enemy ships fired, Daniel stepped forward, his heart thundered, the gift blazing inside him. He lifted his hand, and the energy pulsed outward. A wave of light surged through the hangar shields, striking the enemy blasts, bending them away. The crew gasped as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. He did not fight with weapons. He fought with the gift, the bond of two lives. The energy shielded the station, turning despair into hope. The enemy fleet hesitated, their sensors screaming with unknown power. And then, slowly, they pulled back. Fear had won over ambition. They fled into the void, leaving silence in their wake. When it was over, the crew stared at Daniel, not as a monster, not as a stranger, but as something new, something they had never seen before, a bridge between two worlds. The commander stepped forward, his voice heavy. "You saved us." Daniel met his gaze, calm. "No, we saved us." He looked at Liara, her silver eyes shining. Together. From that day, the whispers changed. No longer only fear, but wonder. Humanity had seen what the gift could do. They had seen that a bond between species was not weakness, but strength. Liara stood with Daniel before the stars, her voice filled with quiet pride. "Your kind will remember this. Our story is not just yours, not just mine. It is both, bound forever." Daniel nodded, feeling the truth deep in his soul. "Then let it begin." And so it did. The man who gave his kidney to save a dying alien, and the alien who gave her heart to change a world, their story spread, not as legend, but as legacy. For in the cold silence of a galaxy, where war and fear often ruled, one truth had been proven: love, sacrifice, and unity were the strongest forces of all. And humanity, forever changed, would never stand alone again.